Five Nights at Freddy's is a game series that's now lasted over a decade long, filled with tons of different aspects of the franchise. From lore, to the games themselves, to the books, and even the now fantastic movie that came out last year. But one big part that draws people in is the roster of animatronic characters. From big to small, from scary to just dismantled, there's tons of different variety within each of the games. Some are better than others, and that comes to a big point within a lot of the community of doing different interpretations and designs for some of the characters. Sure, some of them may fit their aesthetic or whatever, but if they wanted to do an own series or something where the animatronics didn't fit quite right for that vision, they like doing redesigns. Or there have been plenty of redesign videos here on this platform made by many different artists all around the globe, honestly, of their different takes and directions for each of these characters. And so, in the background of doing a lot of stuff over the years, I've been tweaking here and there with some designs for my own series, which has a bit of a more different kind of out there vibe. So I really wanted to step back and say, hey, let's redesign a bunch of the characters for the series. Some of them will be very different in aspects, and a lot of them will keep some similar themes. And so, here we are today, with a cast that is very, very influential and important to me, as it was a staple and standout cast compared to a lot of the others over the years. And that being the Sister Location Funtime Gang. A whole circus aesthetic with all the faceplates and a lot of big bulky metal shells, creepy endos. It was all just a crazy futuristic looking vibe. But I wanted to do something different. Just my own fun takes for the characters that would fit just a bit better for my interpretation of the story for my series. And so here we are actually today with part 1 of this. I thought these would be a fun thing to do. If you guys would like to see more of this on the channel, that would be great. If not, then we'll just finish out part 2 whenever that happens, and we'll keep it its own little thing. But otherwise, yeah. On the FNAF anniversary, I showed my designs for the FNAF 1 cast. If you guys would like me to, I can go into an in-depth video about those designs as well as to what went on with some of those, and that'll mix in a little bit with some of the Fredbear's stuff. Not much, but just a tad. But yeah, here we are. This is Location Funtime Gang. So, let's talk about them. These were designed by Afton to be, again, more of a circus theme. Yes, they have the killing probabilities and techniques baked into their designs with their claws, luring, voice mimicking, all sorts of stuff like that. But I really wanted to lean more into the circus aspect because some of these designs just don't feel it, or I'm not the biggest fan of some of the slight things with them. And so, I think we shall get started. Welcome to the Sister Location Redesigns, Part 1. Now, before we get truly started, I will make a very big note. You're going to see the design for a character who is not in this video, but plays a major role in how the rest of these designs are, and how they were constructed, per se. And that was Fixed Ennard, or in this universe would have been the Coils the Clown, an animatronic before Circus Baby that was the star of their own restaurant, but was at Fredbear's before that. So you'll get to see him here and there, but I'm not going to get into his design yet because I really want to save for him and his other withered variants later on and the rest of the cast for part 2. So just note, yes, you'll be seeing a lot of him. You'll also be seeing a lot of use of like these head molds, or going back to, if you remember last year, I did a speed paint of these early versions of these designs for the Sister Location characters. Those were definitely used as a lot of reference when going back to, but there were some things I tweaked about them. And you'll notice that they look a bit different compared to that original speed paint, and that's because I edited the faces on my own time to be more what I want them to look like, a little bit more animatronic-y, where before they were just straight up human-looking faces, which was just kind of like a fun stylization and wasn't meant to be how they actually looked, where now they looked a lot closer, but they still weren't right. So those bases were then used for a lot of these characters that you'll see. So you'll notice, again, I use lots of head parts and stuff from designs that I already have. Like, I try to keep things on model. That's why I have this head design that I use, that I have this base that I use for a lot of different characters. So you'll see that pop up from time to time, or a lot of references to my other art, or just some older art that looks a bit questionable and weird, especially in the Funtime Freddy section, but it makes a little bit more sense with some of the story. But, you know, it was used as reference. So you'll see some of that stuff in the background. I'm not going to talk about it really, but yeah, there's coils you'll see a lot as like the base standard for what the Funtime designs should be based off of, whether it be like height or proportions are being tweaked. That's like the basic standard of them. Okay, with that all out of the way, let's get into our first character. Starting with the leader of the group, and probably my least favorite of the designs on the original ones, is Circus Baby. There's just aspects about her that have just never sat right with me. Just how her outfit is designed, the fact that her hair is so weird, it doesn't like go down, there's nothing on the sides or anything. It's just very short. The way her face is constructed is interesting, but I've never also understood why she's like super big and bulky. I get it that she's supposed to be giant to fit people inside, but to make her also the biggest member of the cast always felt weird. Especially when we looked back at that original trailer, which is a big part of this. You see that she looks like she's smaller than everybody else, but obviously it's because they're on pedestals. But even with a lot of the art before Sister Location's release, that seemed like the general consensus that Baby was the smallest of the group. And to me, that just makes much more sense. So that's what I went with. I made her just the shortest of the bunch. I wanted to keep, obviously, a lot of the aspects like the pigtails, the big tutu, the fan in the center of her chest. You got the bell shoes, which I think are quite fun. And obviously some of these parts, like a little bits of gray with the plating, you'll see with a lot of the characters, they have the different just extra plates on them. But I wanted to simplify some things as well. First, I wanted to fix her hair. I tweaked it so it's a little bit more on the orangey side. Just like a fun thing. I mean, I don't mind the more red look, but it also had a lot of the merchandise. She looks more orangey, and I really liked that look. Secondly, obviously, her head shape is more closely to my human-styled head shape. She would have the same endoskeleton underneath and similar plating, but not exactly the same. But just on a different structure. So it'd be more similar to Ballora, kinda. It's not that different. Another big point you'll notice is a lot of the pins that were all over Baby's design have also been removed. I didn't find them that necessary here. They just felt like an afterthought, and just they didn't work as well. So I decided just to scrap them. But as for a lot of the newer elements, I tried to add a lot more fun, vibrant colors, because for a clown, she's kind of bare and just, I don't know, just feels empty. So I gave her these different kind of fun gloves, which all of the cast has. You'll notice that coils does not have 5 fingers and looks a bit different with the hands, looking just a lot more basic and animatronical. Where the Sister Location main cast here all has different colored gloves with 5 fingers, and these would act as more fabric with just like endoskeleton underneath as like a fun different contrast to show this generation of the Funtimes versus this new generation of the Funtimes. She's got like a little neck ruffle, lots of colorful spots all over, which again look similar to Coils' design. She's got these stockings with like little bits more of this red and pink added into the color scheme, along with little accents of this darker blue. That Baby's always had these blue circles around her eyes that are not as noticeable if you don't look closely enough, but you will notice her blue eyebrows, and I always found that like a neat sort of thing of her design. So I really wanted to say, let's add a lot more blue back into things. Along with that, she has a little bit more of some yellow added to her face. It's like a sort of clown face paint. You see a lot of things, like you see how the Joker looks in like the newer movies. He's got like the blue. I wanted that as like a little extra fun thing. The big thing as well is this massive bow on the back of her head as kind of a little nod to she was slightly designed after Elizabeth. So she's got more, again, of the ginger looking hair with the red bow. And I think that looks a lot better. She's got nicer bangs going on. Her teeth are very interesting, as they're more similar to Glamrock Chica, or kind of like the Mimic, where they are more human-like, instead of just like flat row that Circus Baby normally has. But instead of actually being indented, it's like these 2 solid pieces that look very interesting, especially with her new mouth. She's got a smaller nose that's more pointy. I've always liked that design for Baby, when she's got like a more pointy nose. I don't know why, I just thought it was something fun. She's got like a little simple flower on her chest. Funtime Freddy will have a similar one somewhere else. I think it was a nice little addition just to put on the top part of her outfit that just stands out just a little bit. But I think it feels a lot more fun. Besides that, she just has a more humanoid structure and a more thinner build, but obviously a lot more tiny compared to what she was before. So in this interpretation, Elizabeth isn't fully like scooped inside. She's more so just killed with the aspect of the claw in there. And the claw seems to be a bit more retractable. I think maybe in part 2, I will probably show more of like the endoskeletons of some of the characters, especially when we get into Yendo and then the withered parts of Ennard later on. But as for that, Baby pretty much is one of the least changed, I think. But overall, I really like her. I think she's a very fun design. And you'll notice the eyes as well for all of the cast are a little bit different. They're more similar to the toys or the classics compared to like the crazy irises of before. She's got the eyelashes as well and the blue eyelids. So yeah, that's pretty much all Circus Baby. It's not as much here. And we went along a while about her, but overall, compared to some of the others, she might be a little bit simple. But yeah, obviously her basic inspiration is just a typical circus clown, but also kind of cutesy doll look, which I think she balances pretty well. Yeah, that's Circus Baby. Next we have the graceful dancer, Ballora. I honestly really like her design. I didn't have as many gripes with it. I think there's just a couple little things I'm not the biggest fan of that are kind of similar to Baby's issues, but not like crazy. So obviously her design is, she's a lot taller and thinner. She's closer to Ennard's build here with the more stereotypical humanoid appearance, but she keeps a lot of her kind of design here. Instead of just being these weird, I guess, strange looking the top is part of an outfit that goes down. Lots of little sparkles and stuff. I thought that looked nice. Same thing with her arms, has the longest gloves that go down her forearms, but she still is able to pull off all those poses despite it and bend exactly what she needs to. So you won't be able to see her fingernails underneath, but they're still kind of like sharp-ish, if you would imagine that. Along with that, her shoes have been modified a little bit to be a little bit more flat, but still able to go up and be able to spin like how she normally does. She has a little bit more going on with her hair, which is one of the big gripes I had, is I don't like her hair as much. He suffers it same as Baby. I know it's obviously put back in the bun, but I think it would have been more fun with like some bangs and stuff, so that's what she's got going on here. I really want to incorporate a little bit more of the beads that you see around here, so I added some more of the beads similar to her necklace and like the tiara that are holding up the straps of the dress compared to before where it was just all the blue that kind of went around the back. Along with that, her legs are about the same. I mean, the shoes, again, are a little bit different with the design, like having a little pom-pom or something on them. You'll notice this very interesting futuristic Ballora design in the background, which is definitely very more humanoid. If you've seen this design before here and there, I love that design. But there's aspects from that that are, I guess, carried over from the original Ballora design that would be reused later. I wanted to fix her face as well. The big thing is Ballora's gimmick is that her eyes were closed a lot of the time. That gimmick I decided to remove and technically give to another character in a different way, because I really wanted to make her still feel creepy, but in the aspect where she would be more so open her eyes wide sort of thing, kind of like how her eyes look in the jump scare, but a bit like that. For her color scheme, there's just a lot more blues here and there, a lot more of like a periwinkle sort of blue for some of the accents. Her eyes are still purple. Again, her hair is a bit different. She's stuck with a little tiara. Her earrings are there. I didn't change much with like her eyelashes or anything. That's about the same. Her face plates are still about the same too. But the big change as well is her mouth. The one aspect of Ballora's design I could not stand was how her teeth were done. Where you'll notice Baby doesn't have any suit teeth. It's just her endo teeth. And then Freddy and Foxy obviously have the suit teeth and the endo teeth. I think Baby's approach would have been better for Ballora than what Ballora actually has. Ballora has these weird square teeth that are just on the bottom row of her mouth, and I just never liked the way it looks. Because then she's got these cool sharp teeth from the endoskeleton behind that look so cool, and they're so very visible. So it's never made sense to me why she just has them. They just look weird and dumb. So here she fully just has those sharp endo teeth, which contrasts a lot with, again, with her more graceful look. She just has these very weird, sharp teeth for this humanoid design, which feels very off-putting. She would still be able to crawl around like a spider or even on the walls to a certain point due to some things on her hands. But I think that's pretty much it for Ballora. She's probably my second favorite of the designs. I do love the little additions of like the sparkly fabric or whatever, just as like a little touch up for her design. But yeah, that's Ballora. Not as much to say. I think maybe a little bit of those aspects will carry over into the mini arenas in the future. But yeah, that's all of this fantastic dancer. It's time for the real star of the show, the fan favorite, Funtime Freddy. This is one that isn't that different compared to the original, but it'll show some of my design philosophies for a lot of the characters going forward. This includes every character that at least like deserves it. A lot of the animal characters all have fur on them. Obviously, like characters like Happy Frog or whatever, who like doesn't have fur, won't have fur. But like Freddy is a bear, so all of the Freddys will have fur, even like Rockstar Freddy and again Glamrock Freddy. So Funtime Freddy is no different. His basic shape is pretty much the same, but I really wanted to focus on the speakers. I wasn't the biggest fan of the speakers, because some of them had them, some of them didn't, and it was just so strange and inconsistent. I know Freddy, Foxy, and Chica had the speakers on them, but I decided to just do away with them. For Freddy, I added again this flower that I was talking about with Baby. That's right on the center of his chest, similar to the clown design. For the color scheme, it isn't that different. Maybe a little bit more purpley compared to some of the pinkish. Because each of the characters have a specific color theme. Like Ballora's is blue, Baby's is red. So there's certain colors like that are not used. Like Ballora has no red, no green or anything on her at all. Freddy doesn't have any of those either. So those are completely absent from his design. But I wanted to really highlight his color being magenta. So he'll have the 5-fingered gloves, just like the others. And that's the cool thing about Funtime Freddy here, is yes, Bonbon will be there and can be attached and detached, but Freddy also can perform with a second hand that is able to be attached when Bonbon isn't there in the same socket. So you'll see the sort of like base of the glove ring always on his right arm. For Freddy's head, yeah, he's got the sort of like hair thing going on here. He's just got pretty much the same sort of face plates, I would say. I don't think they're changed at all. His ears are slightly shaped, just have a little bit of like a point at the end. I added a little bit more design to, he has more shoes here and a lot of like a suit with stripes. There's like a fun, vibrant look. And he's got lots of different shades of like the magenta and the pink going on, as well as freckles that I think are very fun and similar to Foxy's. As for Bonbon, he's just kind of got a nice little suit on, and he has a much more purpley color scheme now, along with just this nice little red button, so you can still boop it right there. His teeth have been changed to buck teeth. His eyes are still more of like a pinkish purple as well. So he has a very different color scheme as well compared to originally. He's probably one of the most changed characters. Funtime Freddy's microphone is about the same. He's kind of got, again, like this more short sleeve shirt thing going on. He doesn't have any sort of like undershirt or anything. His bow tie and hat are also magenta now. That matches pants. I think it's a fun contrast to all the other Freddys, because even like it'd be different to Toy Freddy and Glamrock Freddy, who would still presumably have just the typical black hat, but with like their red and blue stripes. Funtime Freddy then has a little bit more going on that makes him distinct. But honestly, he's also pretty the same, just he's got clothes and fur now. He's not that different. His personality and everything is about the same, so yeah, that's Funtime Freddy. Honestly, still, he's probably the most standout of the designs, though. Like, I think this is the one that would be the least controversial. So a lot going on, even with like just the little buttons and the belt going on. Bonbon is a little bit weirder, but I really like how they look too as a duo. Very different with this color scheme, where Freddy had the white and the pink with the blue before, just felt off. It's like it felt like a little out of place, but yeah. Also, Purple Bonnie Gang for life. Ah yes, time for my favorite of the cast, the ringleader, Funtime Foxy. Now you'll see there's a second design that pops up, just like Ballora. There is a more futuristic design that I technically like a little more, but I really wanted to do something different for his base original design. So for this, I wanted to go really into the Ringmaster. As you'll see, I really liked this outfit and try to base it a little bit off of that, but with like some different aspects for the typical Ringmaster. Again, if Funtime Foxy was in Fnaf AR, he totally would have gotten the Ringmaster skin instead of regular Foxy. But, you know, it's whatever. So I try to add like his big fluffy tail that kind of goes up. He's got still all of his hair going on. The big new thing for him as well is he was inspired a little bit from the Wolfman from the Wolfpack 5, as being this kind of like the front spokesman sort of thing, and he has this nice big mustache that you'll see later on as well. He's got a little bit of chin hair, and before I was debating if I was going to keep the lips on him or not, I decided to do so because I felt a little wrong with him not having any. And he's got this kind of hair swoop thing similar to Freddy, but His head isn't that different. The endoskeleton and everything is pretty much the same. Just again, the eyes have changed. He's got the little hair on his head. His proportions are pretty much about the same. He's probably about as tall as Ballora, who is probably the second tallest, if you don't count a certain other character later on. He's just more so, again, just like adding a bunch of clothes and stuff to him, which is very different from his later Ringmaster appearance. He's a bit of a darker color scheme, added a bit more black, but obviously his theme color is pink, so you'll see a lot of pink in his design that's shown. He's also got these nice fancy shoes, this very interesting pants. I wasn't sure I was going with for them originally, but I think this sort of darker hot pink, I would call it, fit very well. He, unlike Freddy, actually has sort of some undershirt going on, like this little extra vest underneath. I think the black and the pink contrast very well, along with the hints of the gold and bits of this dark red, especially popping up with the big bow tie. In the final image, you won't see the lips because it was a little bit of an error, but the lips are then added on at the end. But yeah, that's Funtime Foxy. Now, unlike the others where they keep pretty much the same voices that they have, his big voice is going back to showbiz style things or creative engineering. I just imagined him with the voice of Rolf the Wolf.
Hey, let's get on with the show. What do you say, Earl?
Okay, hey, before we get the show started today, I'd just like to thank all my fabulous fans for all their terrific support. The fan mail has just been overwhelming. Hey, just keep those cards and letters coming.
I, Rolf the Wolf. I actually decided to take a good look in the mirror to see if I like what I saw. I don't need to tell you, I did. But hey, if you look in the mirror and you don't like what you see, then get a nose job or a cleft put in your chin or something.
It fits so well for his aesthetic and fun personality. I think it'd be great for a ringleader as well. So, yeah, that's Funtime Foxy. Encore! So the next two are going to be very interesting, because they actually weren't part of the original Funtime lineup and didn't even appear in Sister Location. They only made their debut later in Fnaf 6. So this is a bit of an interesting change. I thought it'd be fun because Chica seems like to be partly implied to be still part of the main Funtime gang, especially with Help Wanted 2. So she was probably around, we just didn't get to see her in Sister Location. So I really wanted to focus on something else with her. It's like we have a dancer, we have sort of a puppeteer going on, a ringmaster, and just like a stereotypical clown. Why not do one of the circus dancers that's different compared to a ballerina? And so that was like the big inspiration for her. Her main color, I would say, is orange, but she still also has that hot pink in it that definitely makes it stand out compared to the other shades of like pinks and purples that Freddy and Foxy uses, but also still makes it that she feels like she's part of the line. She would have also then been on the same sort of big stage along with the others that you'll see at the end here. I try to use a couple different references for the whole circus dancer look. Wasn't sure how to approach it really. This was the most difficult, I think, besides the next one, to really get what I was trying to have the vibe be. It was a very tricky process. I decided to end up with this thing that looks like a little bit frilly, like a little sparkles coming off of it, with these interesting shoes. Her proportions aren't that different from the original. I just slightly tweaked things to make them feel a little bit smaller and made things a little bit less complicated, I think. But I also still really like Funtime Chica's design, which may be a bit of a hot take. I think it's very interesting and contrasting with the others as well. So she has a bit of different gloves. They have like a little bit of an extra rim to it. These little nice frilly parts of the back as well for the sides. She was supposed to have a tail, but I decided not to show it as much because it would just be a smaller chicken tail. Not much there. As for Funtime Carl, or Funtime Cupcake, he's very different. I just tried to change his shape a little bit more, so it's a little bit more curved out in the end, and changed his eyes from blue to purple just to change that color scheme and remove blue from it. The second most difficult part for her design was her hair. It took so long to get what I really wanted to, because I wanted it to be reminiscent of like the big feathers that you see on the circus dancers, but also not be like too out there at the same time. She also has a little bit of inspiration from Chica from Plus with a little sort of thing in her hair. And also the thing was if she was going to have top teeth or not. So that was a whole other thing I wasn't sure if I went with, if it was a good idea or not. I decided to do so because I think that would match all the rest of the other Funtimes, because it would be weird if she just didn't. Again, her color scheme isn't that crazy, but it is so nice. Again, with the hot, it's like a salmon actually. It's like a hot pink tinge with salmon with little bits of purple sprinkled in and orange. So she has a very interesting color scheme. But yeah, that's Funtime Chica. Definitely a life of the party, I'll tell you that. As we make our way to the final character of this video, we have the most drastic design change out of all of them so far, and it is wild to say the least. Music Man. Music Man! A now beloved character with both his original and DJ variants from Security Breach, was always a strange one in Pizza Sim, especially since it seemed like he was another one of the Funtimes, but he just felt so strange. Why have we never heard of him before? We got the little nod of Chica from the whole Chica's Party World thing, but who was this guy? He was like this half man, half spider creature with these symbols and such a strange face. Such a bizarre character design, even with this large nose. It just felt so odd. But I really wanted to do something fun with this. It's like, okay, you know what? Let's lean way more into the spider thing for him. Let's make him this big musical spider. And I thought, you know what would be a really good inspiration? A one-man band sort of thing. Very weird for a circus, but again, this is not a traditional one. So he's got a lot of different instruments going on. But first off, let's make him more spider anatomical, pardon me, where his legs are more jointed and longer. He's got this abdomen in the back. He's more similar, I guess, to like a mix of a spider and a centaur, I guess, with like the more humanoid part at the top, but that's kind of what the original Music Man felt like as well. So I really wanted to lean into that. And he also has like a slight bit of like a jazzy look where he's got the beret. And this is what I was talking about when I said Ballora's gimmick was given to another character. He actually has these sunglasses instead of just these regular big scary eyes that he wears all the time. But he can take them off and underneath will be these very creepy looking eyes. So he pretty much has her gimmick, but in a different format that I think works very well for both of the characters. Of course, he still has his cymbals. You'll notice, yes, I apologize, I can't draw instruments for shit, so they are just really bad. And so much so I had to get like a bass for the trumpet and whatever, and it was awful. But he's got a drum, he's got, interestingly, a little bit of a banjo going on. That'd be a fun little thing. Trumpet, but a lot of the things that he can have just to play around with during performances. He's got a little bit of a coat going on with a bandana around his neck. He's got a lot more of the purple that you see on his face, as like these purple stripes going on him around his fuzzy fur, kind of more like a tarantula. Wanted to add like a little funny like beard piece. I think it'd be interesting. For his head, it's similar in shape, but a little bit more human-like. Then added a little bit more of like the fur. Added some funny ears, because like, why not? Some hair. He still has the big nose. And then of course he's got a little like beret at the top. He also feels a little bit more mime-ish in a way. Like if you changed all the purple spots to like a gray or black, you could really see that's what the view I'm kind of going for. But Music Man, honestly, I really like how he turned out. He's very different. And his color scheme, or his color theme, is purple. So he's got this light purple for a lot of the accents. He's got this dark purple for his shirt. And this different shade of purple in between for the hair on him. Honestly, really like how he turned out. Even little bits of purple in his little sneakers going on. Does he fit in drastically with the others? Maybe a little bit stand out, but overall, I think he's the most crazy out there take I've seen of the character. I've seen some really good designs for Music Man, but I don't think I've seen one like this. So I really wanted to try something new, and I like it. May not be everybody's cup of tea, but I liked it. Oh yeah, and he's got these little spider fangs. Instead of his mouth where it was just kind of like this stationary thing, I kind of curved it a little bit so it's more of a smile. So he seems a little bit more friendly. And I guess he would have more of like a deep jazzy tone sort of voice. Kind of like the cool guy sort of thing going on. But yeah, that's Music Man. As a little bonus, I wanted to then talk about the stage and how their performances work. This is heavily based on the Sister Location trailer, where you saw all the characters together on these kind of like different elevated pedestals that looked so cool in like the dark. And I was so disappointed, and I feel like I'm not the only one, where that was not what we got in the game. Obviously, again, that could have been what they were performing like in the restaurant, because what we saw was the rental service. And it was kind of confusing why there were stages and stuff for a place that was just used to store them, but I digress. So each of them have pedestals similar to the ones from the trailer, but they all have these lights going on and these stripes that match their main corresponding colors. And you'll see all of them in their different positions. Obviously Music Man's is the largest to fit his whole girth, I guess, or just how spread out his legs are. And you'll see kind of like how the group kind of is. We have Ballora and Music Man in the back, Foxy and Chica on the left and right, and then front and center is Baby, Freddy, and Bonbon as like the main stars of the show. But of course, any of them can also be interacting. Like Funtime Foxy would be like the first one you would see with the performances, where he would start with like opening gags or sort of introduce some of the songs or performances that would have happened at the restaurant. As for like the Biddy Babs and the Mini Renas, sometimes again these characters would be on the floor, like they could move around during the day, so you'll see them during those performances, or you'll see them walking around here and there. But that's pretty much it for the Sister Location cast. I honestly thought it was such a fun time, no pun intended, designing this cast of characters. I really think they also look so nice together with all the different color schemes. It feels like a very interesting unit. This will be very different compared to the other members of the Sister Location cast, which were part of the older restaurant, which is where Ennard or Coils was from, along with his gang of Bonnet, Lolbit, and Yendo, who was originally a Funtime version of Fredbear. So those characters will have a little bit more jank to them. Again, they still look pretty high tech, as you can see with Coil's design, but they'll still be a little bit different vibe from them that you'll pick up here and there. Like obviously Funtime Foxy and Lolbit will still be on purpose very similar in structure, like very close to identical, but then the way that they are applied, like the ringmaster outfit on here and even the tail and stuff, is very different feeling compared between the two. Same thing, Freddy and Fredbear will be very different as well with their designs. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this little video. And again, if you want to see more, or definitely part 2, or the FNAF 1 guys, yeah. I think I would do the FNAF 1 characters before the Sister Location part 2. I'm also working on a bunch of other stuff in between right now, so the drawings are not going to be as high of a priority as some of the other things I'm working on. Spoilers, I'm working on another Sister Location video, a mini music video that'll come out sometime after this, and then there'll be some other stuff afterward. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got for this one. Gotta go. Dave Dorinko. Peace out, everybody. Just let me know which one's your favorite in the comments.
Thanks for coming down to see our show. We'll hope to see you again sometime soon. Ta-ta for now. Ha ha!